Hi, guys. We are back. We are back. Part two. We are talking about the cycles of hair growth, explaining the hair growth cycle. Let's look at the adagen, catagen, and telogen phases. Okay. Let's highlight today in yellow. We see our first term. Let's go ahead and get it highlighted. And as a recap, remember the anagen phase is the growth phase. So we have a growth phase, then we have a pause phase, and then we have a falling out, or we call shedding. Okay, ACT. Remember that ACT. ACT. The anagen phase is the growth stage during which new hair is produced. Okay, it's a buildup of new keratin cells. These are manufactured in the hair follicle during the anagen stage. Activity is greater in the hair bulb, which pushes down into the dermis and swells the cell metabolism. That's the multiplication in the matrix. Stem cells at the junction between the erector pillar muscle and the follicle grow downward and stimulate cell mitosis in the matrix. So here we go. Now we're growing. Here we go. Okay. It says new cells form hair and root sheets while the older part of the hair is pushed upward. So we're already always in this figure of new, new, new. Okay, new, new, new. And we have other things that are protruded upward. Okay, so we have the older hair coming up and the new hair forming at the base. In other areas, here's one note that I really want. I'm going to highlight in yellow. I'm gonna break that yellow up a little bit with green. It says once hair has reached its full length, it can remain there for weeks or years. All right, depending on its location on the body. So once it has reached its full length, it can stay there for weeks or years based on where it is located. Okay, hair on the scalp remains in the anagen phase for years. Okay, let's check that. Hair on the scalp can remain in the growing phase for years. Other areas like eyelashes have a short anagen phase, okay? And most of the time that phase is 6 months or less. The length of the anagen phase determines the length of hair. So based on the length of the anagen phase, it's going to give you the length of hair. This stage is the most important stage for estheticians in effective hair removal, as removing hairs during the anagen stage will be more effective for long-term hair reduction. So, if you are trying to remove this hair long-term, in your anagen phase, we are definitely looking at something more like lasers or IPLs, okay, as recommended. Please make sure we note, I did bookmark this for those that are studying, okay? Once the hair has reached its full length, it will remain on the scalp. It can remain in the anagen stage for weeks to years. Okay, and it is shorter. It's a shorter time for eyelashes. Okay, it's a shorter growing phase for eyelashes. All right. This stage is very important for estheticians when it comes to for hair removal, because you think about hair removal, you think about intimate areas, okay, lash filling, lash replacement, all of those are great points to think about. All of it is going to be related together. Let's look at the catagen phase and let's highlight in yellow. The catagen phase is the transition stage of hair growth, okay? Transition. This is where we start to pause and we get ready for the shedding, okay? It's the mitosis ceases, so the reproduction of hair is at a pause. The multiplication is at a pause, okay? We have completed the growth phase. So anagen is over. Now you're set in catagen, okay? Okay, encatogen detaches, the hair will detach itself from the dermal papilla where it feeds off of, and the follicle degenerates, it shrinks and collapses as epidermal tissue retracts upward. So it starts to push that hair out. Okay, it's getting everything's getting ready to shed. So it starts to collapse, tighten that follicle, whereas that follicle was wider. Okay, to hold the growth span and the mitosis multiplication. So hair is always in growing. Now it has started to collapse, close up, and push everything upward. Okay. Hair losses, hair loses its inner root sheath and becomes drier. I'm gonna go green here for your review. The hair gets drier. Okay, it's gonna lose that inner sheath and prepare to fall out. The mature hair is now referred to as club hair. Okay, looks like a club. This is the shortest part of the hair growth. Catagen is the shortest part of the hair growth. All right. Anagen, the longest part of the growth cycle. Catagen, the shortest part of the growth cycle. Okay. What happens? It is the transition. The hair has stopped growing, and now we're in a phase of transitioning over to telogen. In that transition, the major things are happening to the follicle. It collapses, it shrinks, it dries up. The hair loses its root sheath and dries up, and everything in that follicle is being pushed to the top in preparation for shedding. There's no more mutation, there's no more mitosis going on in this phase as well. Okay, bookmarking. The telogen phase. Okay, the telogen phase is the final or resting stage of hair growth. Let's highlight in yellow. Telogen, it just told you, final or resting stage of hair growth. All right, all right, here we go. During the telogen stage, the club hair that we found that now becomes club hair in catagen moves up the follicle and ready to shed. Okay, this is why they call it the falling out stage or the shedding stage. Okay, the hair is at its full size and length and is erect in the follicle, which means it's straight out, it's coming straight out of the follicle. It is clearly visible above the skin surface. You can see it is pigmented unless it has already shed. All right. You can see it. You know exactly what it is. So the hair bulb is not active and the hair is released and is attached only by epidermal cells. Okay. And so those cells are what's holding it together. All right. Hair may sit in the follicle until it is pushed out by a new anagen hair. So hair that has been released, not doing anything, it'll sit there. And then when the new hair, as it starts to grow and push forward, it will push that hair out. All right. That is something good to know. It says in some cases the hair may share the follicle with a new anagen's hair, which means this is sometimes when you see two or more hairs inside a follicle, mainly two. So you have a telogen hair preparing to be shed, club hair ready to go, and then you have the new hair anagen that is building in. Okay, giving the appearance of two hairs coming from a single follicle. One is simply going in, and one is simply going out, and one is coming in. The empty or dormant follicle is letted until the cycle begins again. So it just kind of chills the follicle that collapsed. It just kind of chills. And then once it gets chills in the telogen phase, and then it starts to rebuild itself or come back to life when the anagen phase comes back around. Isn't that amazing? Isn't that just really amazing? We're going to go yellow on this. Make sure you guys are checking out the page and you're working on the check-in questions as well. Identify the causes of excessive hair growth. Okay. The amount of hair an individual has differs from person to person. So when we start to begin about talking about hair growth, no two people are going to be the same. Let's make sure we get that in our head. Okay. Hair growth in terms of density. Let's define density on the scalp, face, and body is determined by genetics and ethnic ethnicity, as well as health and hormonal influences. So, look, here's what we're talking about. The hair growth is determined by density. That density is the amount of hair per square inch. Never forget that word. The amount of hair per square inch. And then genetics, your DNA. You get it from your mama, you get it from your daddy, and ethnic background, okay, as well as the health and hormonal influences. So it's a lot of things that have play into why your hair is the way it is, from curl to color to texture. Okay, so a lot of things in play. Do not downgrade and say that it's one thing because it could be a multitude of others. Okay, of why someone loses their hair. All right. Let's look at hypertrichosis versus hirsutism. We looked at this on a Cosmo study guide this week. We're on page 461. Please make sure you highlight and review. You do have terms for review from the flashcards. Take a note also and the quizzes for these particular areas, okay? As I go in and highlight particular areas, I'm using some differentiation of color just so we can have some detail, okay? Break up some knowledge. Hypertrichosis, excessive growth of terminal hair in areas of the body that normally grow only vellus hair. All right. You'll say, Ms. Cox, what is vellus hair? Where is vellus hair? Well, we are born. Okay. Vellus hair is the back, the eyelids, the abdomen, the hair that you see on the body that does not have pigment. Okay. All right. And most of the time, and not necessarily, you'll find this in adult males. Most men have what we call a stronger hair barber. Okay, it is stronger, it is thicker, has more color to it, and it's mostly found on the face. And you'll find it in those intimate areas as well. Men are just built. Males, natural born males, are just built stronger. Their skin is built tougher. Okay, and so when you're talking about soft, downy, fine hair, you won't necessarily find it in a lot of areas, even on men. Okay. It says excessive growth of terminal hair. So that means you have terminal hair, hair that's long and thick and with pigment in areas on the body, but normally you will find vellus hair. All right. Vellus hair reminds you of peach fuzz. All right. And so you're telling me that now I have these long hairs. So check this out. A woman having hair on a mustache that you can see, normally it would be little translucent hairs. You call it peach fuzz, but now she got a whole beard you got to do. That's hypertrichosis. Okay, a woman having hair, one or two hairs on the chin, things of that nature, hypertrichosis, because it's vellus. Ain't supposed to have no hair there. Having hair on the chest, hypertrichosis. Okay, look at these particular areas, the front and the back. These are areas where downy hair should be, and you're finding terminal hair. Like you can literally see the hairs. They're long, they're strong. Okay, they have pigment. A lot of times when I run into ladies, they'll say, "Hey, I got that from my dad, my mom's side, so on and so on." Remember, heredity is a form. Okay, it's one of those things. DNA, ethnic background. You may find it here. Look at this area here: excessive sideburn, hair down the back, arms, okay, chest, leg. I've seen it all. Seen it all. Okay. Let's look at hirsutism. Highlight again. This time I'm gonna put it in pink. No, let's put it in blue. Start off in blue. And let's go to purple. Come back in blue. Mix it up a little bit. Okay. Hirsutism is excessive hair growth on the face, chest, underarms, groin, and especially in women. Okay, excessive hair growth. All right, caused by excessive male androgens. Okay, here's the thing: it's a hormonal issue. Okay, when it's coming from hormones, most of the time I say endocrine system or reproductive system. It's a sign that something is going on. Those are where I would get my client consultation questions from this particular area. Um, Also, medications, birth control, medications for major organs, diseases, illnesses, and stress. You'll be able to see this. Okay, puberty. Um, so a lot of times you find hormonal issues. The hormonal issues will be off, and you will see that, okay, I have some hair in particular areas. You have many individuals that go through hormone replacement. So as an esthetician and a cosmetologist, it's something for you to study because you're going to see more and more of it. Okay, these particular areas these particular areas are prone to hirsutism. Excessive. Okay, look at that bearded area, chest, underneath the breast, pubic area, behind, and underarms. These areas are be super excessive hair. You normally would not see a woman with a full beard, but it happens. Check some things that I've seen videos, YouTube University, and it's really nothing to laugh about because one woman said she was tired of shaving, she just let it grow in. She had a full beard like a man. Okay, and it's just nothing that she had control of. And so when it gets to a certain point, then she begins to shave or wax or do whatever. Look at common diseases, disorders, and syndromes affecting hair growth. We see a term here, a syndrome. Let's highlight in yellow. A group of symptoms when combined characterize a disease or disorder. It says excessive hair growth may indicate a medical issue, and there are a number of documented diseases, disorders, and syndromes when diagnosed and treated can reduce the problem of hirsutism. All right. We're not going to stay on today, but we are coming on just to continually work through this particular chapter. We will pick it back up in the next day ahead and have more information as we prepare for our state board exam. Okay, so we'll have a little bit of this and a little bit of that. Disease affecting hair growth. It says medical conditions related to excessive androgen production. That's hormone production that affect hair growth are Cushing syndrome. That's something to research. Cushing syndrome. It's not highlighted. You may not find it in there. Do some research as well. Androgenetic syndrome is a malfunction of the adrenal cortex that causes overproduction of hormones. So this is disorders affecting hair growth. Androgenetic. Okay. Genetic alopecia. So you may have heard that before as well. Syndromes affecting hair growth. The most noticeable is PCOS, polycystic ovarian syndrome. So, and a lot of times that's the main one that I come in contact with. PCOS individuals that have texture issues, they have overweight issues, and also they're dealing with hirsutism, hair loss, either whether it's alopecia on the scalp or excessive hair growth on the face and other particular areas of the body. Okay, so it's a major window. Some of the major concerns when I see that is irregular cycles, that's menses, and ovarian cysts, and obesity. So when I see this in young ladies, they come to a cosmetologist before they go to a gynecologist. Sometimes they've seen a cosmetologist before they've seen a gynecologist. So it is true for me that the estheticians, cosmetologists, the beauty professional are sometimes the key to connecting the dots. No, we're not a doctor. We can't do any prescribing, can't do any diagnosing, but we can give notice that, hey, I think we need to get some things checked out. Because when they start telling me I have this problem and that problem, all things and all of that gears towards PCOS. Okay, I'm gonna ask about, as part of my consultation, I do ask about menses, I do ask about cycles, I do ask about hormones, I do ask about, are they taking birth control pill. All of that gives me notices and red flags of what to ask next and what possible the client could be dealing with. I've had times where I knew the person was probably dealing with PCOS, but I wanted their parents to go take them to the doctor. And when they brought them back, they say, yeah, she's dealing with excessive ovarian cysts. Okay, so she's dealing with PCOS. So that explains why we have this going on in this area. The most important thing is take care of the body, and the esthetician and cosmetologist are there to help. Okay, we're there to help along the way. Let's look at common and current medicines affecting hair growth. All right. Medications causing hirsutism. All right. And we know we see this on women. We can look at the chest, forebeard, buttocks areas, um, anabolic steroids. Okay. Um, cholesterol, blood pressure medicine. Okay. Congestive heart failure medicines, medications causing hypertrichosis. I even see Rogaine over here. Okay. Cortisols. Okay. So there's something, yes, we got some definition, got some homework to do. That's good. Okay. As we begin to pause, page 464 is where we want to pick back up on. Let's do a review of temporary and permanent hair removal reduction methods, even permanent, as we talk about waxing, shaving, threading. We already know the hair removal falls into two categories, temporary and permanent. But also with that, you do have IPL, lasers, things of that nature. And so we're about to jump into the nitty gritty. Let's make sure that we study those particular areas for the weekend. 464 is where we're going. The check-in questions for the chapter, that's what we should be working on for the duration of the week. And then look for a continuation live stream for the next section. All right. All right. So our key assignment is working on our check-in questions and 464, picking up from there. Expect another training session before the week is out. And let's stop this live